Nightfall came once more, and the Gu clan's caravan set up camp again. By now, they had ventured deep into Xuanling Island, where the presence of demonic beasts in the primeval forest grew increasingly frequent. As a result, the camp's defenses had been upgraded. Not only were guards patrolling regularly, but traps had also been set around the perimeter to prevent any surprise attacks. Lin Dong sat cross-legged beside the carriage, his eyes briefly scanning the center of the camp. That area was where the Gu clan's disciples had gathered, creating quite a lively scene. However, Lin Dong had no intention of joining them. He could sense their animosity toward him and had no desire to impose himself where he wasn't welcome. My internal injuries are about 60% healed. The faint life force within that profound primordial pill has greatly aided my recovery. If I could obtain more, I might even fully recover and attempt to break through to the 8th Nirvana stage. Lin Dong clenched his hand, feeling the strength slowly returning to his body. Though it hadn't reached its peak yet, it was far better than before. The injuries he'd sustained were severe, and if not for the heavenly dragon aura infused within him, he might still be crippled. Full recovery, however, would take much longer. Profound primordial pill, Lin Dong shook his head helplessly. The hundreds of pills he had received from Guya were already used up. Whether she had any left didn't matter. He couldn't bring himself to ask the girl for more. Doing so would feel too shameless, even to him. Without more pills, Lin Dong had no choice but to rely on his body's natural healing ability to gradually recuperate. Brother Lin Dong. Guya's voice called out from the side. Lin Dong looked over and saw the young girl offering him a piece of roasted meat, her delicate face slightly flushed, making her appear quite endearing. Lin Dong smiled softly at her, a warmth in his expression that he had never shown to the other Gu clan disciples. Clearly, he had a fondness for this kind-hearted and innocent girl. Little Ya, stay close to me tonight, Lin Dong said, taking a bite of the roasted meat and narrowing his eyes as he gazed into the dark depths of the forest. Huh. Guya was momentarily stunned, staring at him in confusion. Just trust me. Lin Dong smiled but didn't elaborate. The group from the Wei clan they had encountered earlier didn't seem like good people, and the black-clad man behind Wei Song gave Lin Dong a strange feeling. If they planned to make a move against the Gu clan, it could lead to trouble. Lin Dong wasn't interested in the fate of the rest of the Gu clan, but he felt a responsibility to protect Guya. Oh. Guya nodded obediently. Her timid nature kept her from asking any further questions. Lin Dong gently ruffled her hair, but his gaze drifted, becoming momentarily distant. Guya's age reminded him of Huan and Qingtan. He couldn't help but wonder how they were faring now. Pale moonlight bathed the camp in a soft glow. Dozens of Gu clan guards stood watch, their eyes scanning the surrounding forest with vigilance. The camp remained quiet, save for the occasional crackle of the campfires. Lin Dong leaned against a tree trunk, chewing on a leaf. His face remained impassive, though his gaze occasionally drifted toward the open carriage not far away, where the young girl slept peacefully, her slender figure faintly visible beneath the blankets. Roar! After a long period of silence, a low beastly growl echoed from the depths of the forest. Lin Dong's eyes snapped open, and he muttered under his breath, "I knew it would come." Thud. As his words fell, the ground suddenly trembled. Lin Dong sensed a wave of foul stench surging from the forest, followed by countless pairs of crimson eyes emerging from the shadows. Beast attack. The sudden change was quickly noticed by the Gu clan guards. Their expressions shifted drastically as they shouted, breaking the camp's quiet. Roar. Dark silhouettes, reeking of blood, tore through the darkness and rushed out from the forest. Violent energy surged as several Gu clan guards were instantly shredded into pieces. Swish, swish, swish. Tents were overturned one after another as figures hurriedly rushed out, their faces grim as they stared at the demonic beasts swarming the camp. Damn it! It's demon rock-horned beasts. Gu Yan's face turned icy as she stared at the beasts, whose black bodies glistened like steel. Her expression grew darker. These creatures had incredibly tough bodies, and in their mature form, they were on par with practitioners at the 7th or even 8th Nirvana stage. With so many of them attacking at once, defending the camp would be a serious challenge. Why are these beasts attacking us all of a sudden? We haven't provoked them, someone shouted in confusion. While difficult to deal with, these beasts normally wouldn't attack unless provoked. So why were they launching a sneak attack in the middle of the night? Gu Yin frowned, puzzled as well, but there was no time to dwell on it. With a wave of her hand, she commanded, "Form up." At her command, the Gu clan disciples quickly gathered, their primordial energy flaring as sword lights flashed, slashing through the beasts that had broken into the camp. The battle erupted in an instant, and the scent of blood quickly filled the air. Lin Dong remained calm as he watched the chaos unfold around him. Leaning against the tree, he showed no signs of stepping in to help. In the darkness, a demon rock-horned beast suddenly lunged forward, charging directly toward the carriage where Guya sat. The young girl, startled awake, stared at the drooling, ferocious beast, her face paling slightly. However, she quickly gathered her primordial energy in an attempt to fend it off. Whoosh! Just as the beast was about to pounce, a golden streak of light flashed through the air, piercing through the creature's skull. Hot blood splattered as the beast collapsed to the ground with a resounding thud. The golden light vanished as quickly as it had appeared, and Lin Dong, leaning against a tree, now held a golden circular wheel in his hand. The wheel's edges shimmered with a cold, sharp glint. These demonic beasts. Lin Dong frowned as he looked at the fallen creature. As he had pierced its head, he sensed a faint, obscure fluctuation. However, just as he tried to investigate further, the fluctuation dissipated. Brother Lin Dong, Guya, her face still pale, ran over to him, seeking refuge by his side, her eyes wide with panic as she glanced at the chaos erupting within the camp. Roar! As Guya arrived, more than a dozen demon rock-horned beasts began to surround them, their scarlet eyes gleaming with ferocity. Swish! At the same time, Lin Dong noticed several figures rushing out from the forest, brandishing sharp blades as they charged into the camp, engaging in a chaotic slaughter. Lin Dong's frown deepened as he stared at these figures. Though their auras were fierce, their eyes appeared vacant, as if they were being controlled. What an interesting ability, controlling both beasts and humans. Muttering to himself, Lin Dong turned to Guya and offered a smile. Close your eyes. After a brief hesitation, Guya bit her lip and obeyed, squeezing her eyes shut. The moment Guya's eyes closed, the smile on Lin Dong's face vanished, replaced by a cold, steely expression. In his palm, the golden circular wheel, now marked with dragon patterns, began to hum as it rotated. With a flick of his finger, the wheel shot forward, transforming into a streak of golden light. Shoo-shoo-shoo-shoo. Wherever the golden light passed, blood sprayed into the air. These formidable beasts, despite their tough bodies, were no match for the dragon spirit wheel, falling like fragile paper. Thud! The light pierced through the throat of a shadowy figure before returning to Lin Dong's palm. In mere seconds, the area was devoid of life. Lin Dong stepped forward and stopped beside one of the corpses. After rummaging through it, a cosmic bag fell into his hand. 600 profound primordial pills? A hint of surprise crossed Lin Dong's lips as he mentally scanned the contents of the bag. Then, narrowing his eyes, he looked toward the depths of the forest, murmuring, "Well, I can't let these pills go to waste if they're delivered right to my doorstep. Littleya, stay here at the camp." By the time Guya opened her eyes, Lin Dong had already disappeared into the depths of the forest. As he traversed through the dim forest, Lin Dong's sharp gaze swept his surroundings. He could sense many hidden auras. It seemed that the mastermind behind all of this was quite skilled, orchestrating such a large-scale operation. Whoosh! Lin Dong abruptly halted as several figures sprang out from the shadows, their lethal attacks aimed at his vital points. Despite the ambush, Lin Dong remained calm. With a swirl of his palm, the dragon's spirit wheel once again transformed into a golden streak, darting forward. Thud! Thud! As the golden light passed, the sound of flesh being torn apart echoed through the air. The dragon's spirit wheel, formed from Lin Dong's essence spirit, was sharp enough to instill terror. Within moments, the dozen or so shadows collapsed to the ground, not even having the chance to let out a scream. Lin Dong landed lightly, his robe fluttering as he gathered all the cosmic bags from the fallen bodies. Afterward, he knelt down, placing his hand on the forehead of one of the corpses. After a moment, he withdrew his hand, a look of surprise flashing in his eyes. It seems to be mental energy. Quite an impressive individual, able to control so many people with mere mental energy. No wonder this is the Chaos Demon Sea. Lin Dong looked up, clenching his fist in the air. With a light chuckle, he said, "Now I'm curious. Who could possess such abilities?" With those words, his figure shot forward, heading deeper into the forest. As he ventured further, Lin Dong encountered more controlled figures. However, most of these were at the 6th Nirvana stage or weaker, posing no threat to him. Their consciousness wiped out, they were little more than walking corpses, and Lin Dong didn't hesitate to eliminate them with the dragon spirit wheel, collecting the profound primordial pills along the way. As Lin Dong delved deeper into the forest, it became clear that the hidden figure had noticed him, as the number of controlled beasts and humans surrounding him increased. "So, I've been discovered." Aware of the growing pressure, Lin Dong let out a light laugh. With a flick of his finger, the dragon's spirit wheel erupted with golden light, and the 8 sharp blades along its edge detached. Swish, swish, swish. The blades shot out, forming a dense web of golden light that swept through the area like a slicing storm. Lin Dong's figure shot out like a bolt of lightning, with 8 golden blade-like wheels retreating behind him, reforming into a circular shape under his feet. With a light tap of his toes, his body leapt forward like a rock, finally breaking free from the dense forest. Just as he was about to break through the woods, a surge of green light erupted from his body, completely concealing his appearance and figure. Thud. Lin Dong landed on a large boulder after bursting out of the forest. He looked up towards a small mountain in front of him, where a figure clad in black sat quietly at the peak. That person's eyes, deep and cold, were fixed intently on Lin Dong, a hint of malice in the gaze. Lin Dong frowned slightly as he recognized the figure. It was the man he had seen earlier, standing behind Wei Song. "Meddlesome fool. You're courting death." The man in black glared at Lin Dong with icy eyes, a flicker of killing intent flashing within. Without any visible movement from him, the sky suddenly rang with a piercing wind sound. A tremendous force immediately swept towards Lin Dong. As expected, spiritual power. Sensing the familiar force approaching, Lin Dong smiled. Green light burst from his body, and with a punch, the roar of a dragon echoed. A fist of green dragon light tore through the air, smashing the oncoming spiritual power to pieces with a single blow. Boom, boom. The ground around them trembled violently, and several enormous mountains, each 100 meters tall, suddenly floated into the air. With a deafening roar, they came crashing down towards Lin Dong. The black-clad man's spiritual power was obviously at a terrifyingly high level. Bang, bang, bang. Suspended in midair, Lin Dong unleashed a surge of azure light from within. His arms transformed into dragon-like limbs, and with punch after punch, he shattered the hovering mountains one by one. "Impressive brute strength," the man in black muttered with a glimmer of surprise in his eyes. He quickly formed a seal with his hands, and an overwhelming wave of spiritual energy surged forth, materializing in the air before him as a gigantic, eerie eye, nearly 100 meters wide. Soul-capturing eye, seize his soul. The eye blinked, and a strange light shot out, enveloping Lin Dong. Under the glow, Lin Dong suddenly felt his consciousness becoming muddled. What a sinister technique. The fog over Lin Dong's mind only lasted a moment before he snapped back to awareness. His eyes sharpened as he flicked his fingers, sending the dragon spirit wheel tearing through the air towards the man in black. A spiritual weapon? The man in black's expression shifted slightly as he saw the dragon's spirit wheel approaching, clearly aware of its power. His hand clenched into a fist, and spiritual energy instantly coalesced into a massive spiritual spear before him. With a sweep of his sleeve, the spear shot out, colliding with the golden light of the dragon's spirit wheel. Boom! A low thud echoed as the dragon's spirit wheel's golden light was forced back, hovering once again in front of Lin Dong. Humph! The man in black's gaze grew colder as he suddenly stood up. An immense surge of spiritual power erupted from him, and a massive tornado seemed to form behind him, twisting the very space around it. What powerful spiritual energy! Lin Dong's expression grew, slightly more serious. The spiritual power of this black-clad man was formidable, enough that even Lin Dong knew he couldn't match it in a direct contest of spiritual strength. I didn't expect to encounter an immortal talisman master here, Lin Dong murmured as he stared at the man in black. He could sense the man's power. The subtle, oppressive aura reminded him of Yuan Tsang's pressure. It was clear that this person had reached the realm of an immortal talisman master. There's a road to heaven, but you chose to trespass into hell. Since you're so eager to die, I'll turn you into my human puppet. The man in black lifted his head slightly, revealing a pale face under the moonlight. He grinned at Lin Dong, his expression twisted. Lin Dong frowned, his primordial energy already circulating rapidly within him. Though still injured, he knew that if he engaged in a full-blown battle with this man, things could get tricky. Woo! Just as Lin Dong was contemplating his next move, a faint, low sound suddenly echoed from the distance. Upon hearing it, the spiritual energy around the man in black began to weaken. He shot Lin Dong a sinister glance before his figure swiftly retreated. Boy, you got lucky this time. Next time we meet, I'll make you my puppet. His cold voice echoed in the distance as his figure disappeared, sending a chill down Lin Dong's spine. Lin Dong watched the man in black disappear, but didn't give chase. The green light surrounding him quickly receded, and he furrowed his brow. It seemed that this chaos demon sea was indeed filled with dangerous individuals. He had barely arrived and had already encountered such a formidable opponent. By his estimation, the man in black was likely at the minor completion of a mortal talisman master, and his strength rivaled that of someone at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. If it came to a fight, Lin Dong wasn't afraid. He knew he could escape, but to defeat this opponent, he would need to fully recover from his injuries first. That guy seems to be connected to the Wei family. Their target must also be the vital, profound spirit fruit. It looks like a confrontation is inevitable. Lin Dong's gaze flickered before he turned and re-entered the dense forest. It seemed healing his injuries was now a top priority. In the camp, the smell of blood hung thick in the air. The earlier chaos had gradually subsided, and corpses of both humans and beasts were strewn everywhere, the stench overpowering. The members of the Gu clan had managed to fend off the beast attack. Though there were casualties, the damage wasn't too severe. As the chaos died down, they began to reorganize the camp. In one corner of the camp, a group of Gu clan disciples gathered around, staring at the bodies of several demon rock-horned beasts. Each beast bore a conspicuous wound on its forehead, a deep and deadly gash. A single fatal strike. Gu Yin examined the wounds with her delicate fingers, her expression serious. Such precise technique. The surrounding Gu clan disciples were equally shocked. They knew how tough the demon rock-horned beasts were. Most of them could only leave minor wounds on the beasts even with their full strength. To kill them with a single blow, only someone at the minor completion of the life mystique stage, like Gu Yin, could possibly achieve that. But clearly, Guya, who did this? Gu Yin glanced at the young girl beside her and suddenly asked, I don't know. Brother Lin Dong told me to close my eyes just now, Guya replied, sounding a bit confused. Innocently, she hadn't considered that Lin Dong, someone who shouldn't have been able to cultivate, could be responsible for something even Gu Yin found astonishingly skillful. Lin Dong. Gu Yin was clearly taken aback, and Gu Ying, who stood nearby, had a noticeable change in expression. She immediately spoke up, Guya, stop talking nonsense. That guy is just a worthless. Before she could finish, they all saw a figure slowly emerge from the dark forest ahead. The person glanced at them indifferently. Lin Dong's expression remained as calm as ever. However, as he walked toward them, even Gu Yan's breathing seemed to pause for a moment. Gu Ying swallowed her words, her face turning pale as she looked at Lin Dong's cold demeanor. For some reason, A chill surged within her. Lin Dong stepped out of the forest and immediately noticed the group of Gu clan disciples gathered around a demonic beast's corpse. Seemingly understanding the situation, his expression remained unchanged as he shifted his steps, intending to walk away. Lin Dong. Seeing this, Gu Yin quickly called out, "Yes?" Lin Dong glanced at her, his tone still flat. The surrounding Gu clan disciples clenched their teeth in irritation, but they hesitated, recalling the terrifying potential hidden beneath his calm exterior. "Was this your doing?" Gu Yin didn't seem to mind Lin Dong's attitude. She pointed at the demonic beast corpses on the ground, her gaze unusually curious as she stared at him. Lin Dong neither confirmed nor denied it. "Himph, whether he did it or not, we can find out." Gu Ying, clearly unhappy with Lin Dong's attitude, stepped forward abruptly. Her fingers curved as she unleashed a sharp gust of wind aimed straight for Lin Dong's chest, quick as lightning. Gu Ying's sudden move caught even Gu Yin off guard, making it too late for her to intervene. Swish! Gu Ying's fierce strike landed on Lin Dong's chest, but it felt as if she had struck solid iron. Her attack didn't even make Lin Dong flinch. Such a strong body. Gu Ying's face paled, and just as she was about to retreat in fear, Lin Dong's expression darkened. In an instant, he appeared before her like a ghost, his hand shooting out like an eagle's talon, firmly gripping her slender neck. The force he exerted was enough to snuff out her life with ease. Lin Dong. The others were stunned by Lin Dong's swift and ruthless response. Gu Yin quickly called out, "Don't act rashly." Gu Ying was just being impulsive. She didn't mean any harm. Lin Dong's eyes remained cold, his gaze filled with killing intent as he looked at the terrified Gu Ying. Her face turned ashen. She had been used to men fawning over her beauty, but at this moment, her looks seemed to hold no meaning in Lin Dong's eyes, just like the corpses of the demonic beasts on the ground. She had no doubt that Lin Dong genuinely intended to kill her. Brother Lin Dong. Guya, who had always seen a gentle side of Lin Dong, was startled by this sudden, cold fierceness. His ruthless demeanor was something she was witnessing for the first time. Hearing Gu Ya's voice, the coldness in Lin Dong's eyes slightly faded. He glanced at Gu Ying, who was trembling with fear, before loosening his grip and tossing her aside. "If you behave so disrespectfully again, I won't hesitate to make sure the Gu clan has one less useless member." Gu Ying was caught by a few Gu clan disciples, her snow-white neck showing visible bruising. It was clear that Lin Dong hadn't held back in the slightest. She glanced at him in terror, finally realizing that his killing intent was real. "You really aren't ordinary." Gu Yin gazed at Lin Dong, her expression complicated. That terrible injury of his, there was no way an average person could recover from something like that. "Tonight's attack was by an immortal talisman master from the Wei clan," Lin Dong said, looking at Gu Yin. "An immortal talisman master?" Gu Yan's face changed upon hearing this, and the other Gu clan disciples also looked unsettled. An immortal talisman master was equivalent to a life mystique stage expert, which was a formidable threat to them. "How do you know that?" Gu Yin frowned. "I just fought him," Lin Dong replied flatly. Gu Yan's eyes narrowed slightly. The Gu clan disciples were equally shocked. Lin Dong had managed to face an immortal talisman master and escape unscathed? "You all won't be able to outmatch the Wei clan. I suggest you leave Xuanling Island as soon as possible," Lin Dong advised. He didn't mean to mock them, but among the Gu clan disciples, the strongest was Gu Yin, and she had barely touched the threshold of the life mystique stage. Meanwhile, the Wei clan had Wei Song, who had already reached that level. Not to mention, there was also the immortal talisman master, who had even given Lin Dong some trouble. The vital, profound spirit fruit is incredibly rare. "We don't want to give it up so easily," Gu Yin said, shaking her head. Lin Dong shrugged, losing interest in further conversation. He didn't care about the Gu clan disciples' fate. Let them do as they pleased. With that thought, he turned to leave, heading for the carriage without another word. Gu Yin hesitated as she watched Lin Dong's retreating figure. Although she still had no clear understanding of Lin Dong's background, based on his performance tonight, it was evident that Lin Dong's strength was at least on par with hers. Moreover, he had even fought against that immortal talisman master. If he could lend a hand, their group strength would undoubtedly improve significantly. Why should I help you? Lin Dong suddenly stopped, giving Gu Yin and the others a curious glance as he asked. Gu Yin froze, and some of the Gu clan members immediately snapped. We saved you. Isn't it only right for you to help us in return? I should remind you that it was Little Ya who saved me, not you, Lin Dong replied calmly. Although he had spent some days with them, he hadn't received any care from the others, so he spoke without the slightest hesitation. I'll make sure Little Ya stays safe, but as for the rest of you, you're on your own. I don't have the energy to protect everyone. Gu Yan's expression grew a bit sour at Lin Dong's blunt words. However, after some thought, she realized they had indeed not taken care of him, so it wasn't unreasonable for him to refuse their request. The other Gu clan members exchanged awkward glances, feeling somewhat uncomfortable. They were well aware of their neglect towards Lin Dong over the past few days. For a moment, the camp fell into an awkward silence. The appearance of the immortal Talisman Master had clearly put a lot of pressure on the Gu clan members. If they didn't figure out a way to deal with him, they would undoubtedly suffer a heavy loss in a direct confrontation. Gu Yin was clearly feeling the strain of dealing with Lin Dong's indifference. After some thought, she turned her gaze towards Gu Ya. It seemed that Lin Dong only treated Gu Ya with any sort of kindness. Seeing Gu Yan's look, Gu Ya timidly shook her head. Since Lin Dong had already refused, she didn't dare to say anything more. Gu Yin sighed helplessly, and just as she was racking her brain for a solution, Lin Dong suddenly turned around and said, "It's not that I won't help." Hearing this, Gu Yin and the others immediately perked up and turned their gazes toward him. "But I want compensation. Consider it you hiring me for my services," Lin Dong said indifferently. "Compensation?" Gu Yin was taken aback for a moment, then asked cautiously, "What kind of compensation?" 10,000 profound primordial pills, Lin Dong replied, a faint smile appearing on his face. "That's outrageous. 10,000 profound primordial pills? Why don't you just go rob someone?" The Gu clan members' faces flushed red with anger as they yelled at Lin Dong, clearly thinking he was asking for far too much. Compared to the vital profound spirit fruit, what's 10,000 profound primordial pills? Besides, if a fight breaks out, you'll likely lose at least half your forces. Do you really think your lives aren't worth 10,000 profound primordial pills? Lin Dong chuckled. The Gu clan members were immediately silenced, their faces filled with frustration, and they turned their gazes to Gu Yin. Under their gaze, Gu Yin furrowed her brows tightly. After a brief hesitation, she asked, "Are you sure your help is worth that much?" "At the very least, I can hold off the immortal Talisman Master," Lin Dong responded. "How confident are you?" Gu Yin pressed. "Once I've recovered, I'm 60% confident I can kill him," Lin Dong replied with a smile. Although the immortal Talisman Master's spiritual power was incredibly strong, and his attacks were mysterious and tricky, even more so than those of a strong practitioner at the minor completion of the life mystique stage, he would still be easier to deal with for someone like Lin Dong, who possessed the devouring ancestral talisman. As long as he recovered his strength, Lin Dong was confident he could kill the immortal Talisman Master. His words immediately stirred some whispers among the group. Even Gu Yan's expression changed slightly as she stared at him. To kill an immortal Talisman Master? Such an ability was beyond the reach of most who had attained minor completion of the life mystique stage. Could Lin Dong truly accomplish such a feat? All right. If you can really do it, I'll give you 10,000 profound primordial pills as compensation. Gu Yan's eyes flickered for a moment before she gritted her teeth and made her decision. Upon hearing her agreement, Lin Dong's smile deepened, and under everyone's gaze, he stretched out his hand. "Pay up first." Gu Yin and the others were dumbfounded, staring at Lin Dong as he unapologetically extended his hand. They couldn't help but feel a sense of helplessness. "This guy, you haven't even proven yourself yet. Who knows if you'll just take the profound primordial pills and run?" One of the Gu clan members muttered. "I already told you. I need the profound primordial pills to heal," Lin Dong said. Gu Yin sighed in resignation. She had heard before that Lin Dong needed the pills, but hadn't expected him to be so eager. 10,000 profound primordial pills isn't a small amount. Even we Gu clan's core members only receive a few hundred a month. I'll have to gather some first, alright? Gu Yin said. Fine. Lin Dong nodded simply, then turned and walked toward a spacious carriage. Hurry up, then. I'll be focusing on recovering for the next couple of days. Otherwise, I'll have a hard time dealing with that immortal Talisman master when he strikes again. Gu Yin watched as Lin Dong climbed into the carriage, her brows furrowing slightly. Gu Yin, can we really trust this guy? He might have some skills, but that immortal Talisman master, not just anyone can handle him, one of the Gu clan members whispered, his voice full of doubt. The other Gu clan members quickly nodded in agreement, clearly sharing the same sentiment. But Lin Dong's fierce demeanor from earlier kept them from openly questioning him. The demonic beasts that attacked us tonight were clearly being controlled by someone, and the only one capable of such a feat would be a strong practitioner whose spiritual power has reached the level of an immortal Talisman master. After observing these past few days, Lin Dong doesn't seem like someone who just makes empty promises. Besides, we don't have many options right now. We must obtain the vital profound spirit fruit, and I must use its power to break through to the life mystique stage. Otherwise, in the 5 families martial gathering in 2 months, our Gu clan may not stand a chance. Gu Yin clenched her delicate hand as she spoke. The surrounding disciples of the Gu clan could only nod in agreement. Given the current situation, it was clear that asking the clan to send reinforcements would be too late. Now, we can only trust that he truly has the ability to contend with that immortal Talisman master. Gu Yin sighed softly, her gaze falling on the carriage Lin Dong had entered. Gu Yin was known for being decisive in her actions. In just half a day, she had delivered 10,000 profound primordial pills into Lin Dong's hands, an efficiency that left him rather satisfied. Inside the spacious carriage, Lin Dong sat cross-legged. The environment here was noticeably better than the previous one. He didn't stand on ceremony with Gu Yin and her people. Before, he had wanted to avoid getting involved with them, but since he had agreed to help, he felt no burden in accepting his due. I provide the effort, and you provide the resources. It's a fair trade. Of course, Lin Dong had his own considerations behind this deal. The vital, profound spirit fruit was something even he coveted. To snatch it from the hands of so many powerful contenders alone would be difficult. However, teaming up with the Gu clan disciples made the task a bit easier. As for how the spoils would be divided afterward, they could discuss that once the task was done. Lin Dong wasn't someone who would let himself be shortchanged. With these 10,000 profound primordial pills, I should be able to recover from my injuries in the next few days. Lin Dong held the cosmic bag in his hand, the opening slightly ajar. Instantly, a surge of pure primordial energy emanated from within. Mixed in with this energy was a faint life force, capable of miraculous healing, reviving the dead and regenerating bones. For experts at the life mystique stage, as long as their bodies weren't completely destroyed, they could basically recover from any injury. The life force within them allowed for limb regeneration. If Lin Dong had already reached the life mystique stage before his injury, with his body's extraordinary recovery abilities, he might have long since fully restored his strength. With a flick of his finger, one by one, the pale white profound primordial pills flew out of the cosmic bag, orbiting around him. In an instant, the entire carriage was filled with surging primordial energy. Watching this scene, Lin Dong took a deep breath, a trace of satisfaction flashing in his eyes. With a thought, the devouring force quietly spread out. Buzz. As the devouring force dispersed, the rolling primordial energy in the carriage rushed into Lin Dong's body at an astonishing speed. Under this immense infusion, light began to flicker on Lin Dong's skin, and his previously injured meridians and bones started to regain vitality under the flood of energy. In the following days, Lin Dong barely left the carriage, spending all his time absorbing the energy from the profound primordial pills to heal his injuries. The effects of the pills far exceeded his expectations. With nearly 10,000 pills packed with life force, Lin Dong's injuries were healing at a speed far greater than before. Of course, this was also thanks to the devouring force within him. Without it, even with such a large quantity of profound primordial pills, No one else could absorb the life force so efficiently without wasting a single bit. After that night's beast attack, there had been no further assaults. It seemed the Wei clan had no intention of engaging the Gu clan head-on before the vital, profound spirit fruit was even in sight, likely to avoid letting others benefit from their conflict. Taking advantage of this temporary calm, Lin Dong made the most of his time. While he was healing behind closed doors, none of the Gu clan disciples disturbed him. Occasionally, Guya would deliver some essentials, and the treatment he received was clearly much better than a few days earlier. Amidst this peace, the convoy gradually approached the depths of Xuanling Island, and everyone could feel the increasing presence of various groups nearby, growing in number as they ventured deeper. Buzz. Surging primordial energy roared within the carriage, forming a vortex above Lin Dong's head. The funnel-like vortex connected to the top of Lin Dong's skull, pouring energy into him wildly. The light around Lin Dong flickered constantly, and faint traces of azure light shimmered on his skin. His body trembled, exuding an overwhelming sense of power, so intense that it seemed even the air resonated, emitting a faint humming sound. Who? Suddenly, Lin Dong slowly opened his eyes after having kept them shut for a long time. A sharp gleam flickered in his dark pupils, and for a brief moment, it felt as though the air itself had been torn apart. A blackish mist-like gas escaped from Lin Dong's mouth as he exhaled. Then his body shook slightly, and his bones erupted with a series of crackling sounds, reminiscent of firecrackers, accompanied by the faint echo of a dragon's roar. At last, the injuries are fully healed. Lin Dong clenched his fists, sensing the familiar and immense power coursing through his body. Even with his calm temperament, he couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. In such an unfamiliar land, only true, tangible strength could give him a sense of security. He had been on edge for far too long. However, this is still not enough. Lin Dong muttered to himself with a light chuckle. Now, he clearly possessed the qualification and strength to break through it. As his laughter subsided, Lin Dong waved his hand. From the cosmic bag, over 4,000 Xuanling pills shot out, filling the air. With a tight grip of his hand, the power of devouring emanated from him, forming a black vortex before him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 4,000 Xuanling pills surged like a flood, rushing into the black vortex at an astonishing speed. In the next moment, they transformed into a massive, overwhelming force of primordial energy, pouring into Lin Dong's body. Boom, boom. As the vast energy surged within him, a deep rumble erupted from Lin Dong's body. His skin rapidly turned crimson, and even his dark eyes glowed with a fiery red hue. Waves of wild, violent energy pulsed outward.